but the water was sometimes flowing along the underside of the drain, leaking out of the system instead of dripping from the edge into the opening of the pipe below.
Hiedalle.
Today's mission: canisters for planting. The planting shelf was finalized in the APS episode 23. We can now place the canisters on this shelf. They need to be filled with media and also get a drain. Tip: create the drain first. Okay, let's see. Last time Konrad cleaned the roof growing area from last season's dried plant leftovers and freed up the canisters, which will be used as growing containers on the planting shelf this year. We need to add lids to the canisters, and I guess I will add a drain. Maybe a feed-through installed in each lid. We will need to install some plumbing later on, where the feed-through attached to. As first step though, the canisters need to be placed on the plank acting as planting shelf. Luckily, the canisters are already cut open and ready to use. Let's go! Okay, so the canisters we use are made from food grade plastic and they were used to store bee food previously. We had some other canisters here in the space, but their origin is unknown, so I decided against using them in the Aquaponic system and built some storage drawers instead. The opening in the canisters for the plants to grow from is very similar and was done using a jigsaw. There are 8 20-liter canisters which fit perfectly on the planting shelf, and there is even space for an additional canister which was used as sump tank in the previous setup. I'm not sure if I will include this one though, because it's a bit higher than the other canisters and also has a different drain. The drain on the canisters, however, will be very similar to this one, but without a valve, so they stay always open. The thread on the canister's drain is standardized and therefore the lids are standardized too, following the norm DIN 61. Since I used the original lids on the storage shelf, I did not want to use the lids for the system, so I ordered some new ones from eBay. I could have gone with a different color, but the yellow looks quite nice in my opinion. It fits the overall industrial look of the system. I also like the spacing of the canisters on the planting shelf. We will drill a hole in each lid and add a 90-degree feed-through fitting into the yellow cap. I created a proof of concept off camera and we can repeat the steps for the other lids now. The 20mm Forstner bit is an excellent bit choice here and the plastic of the lids does not bend. The feed-through set can be squeezed through and the elbow connector piece can be screwed onto the thread from the outside until it creates a tight seal finishing the canister's tank drain. The inflow of the canisters will be the smallest Gardena hose from the microdrip system, which is 4.6mm or close to 5mm in diameter. The diameter of the feed-through is with 20mm several times the diameter of the Gardena tubing, but I'm a bit concerned if this is enough. Not because of the amount of water, but because of the amount of roots the plants will generate in the containers. I will probably need to address this at some point in the future if the plants growing inside of the canisters will clog its drain. For the water inflow, you can simply add an air gap to prevent roots from growing into the tubing, but for the drain it's not as easy. If you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments. To prevent clay pebbles from entering or clogging the feed-through, I will add some rock wool in the inside of the outflow of the canisters before screwing the lid on. I used the rock wool last season without the lid and it worked well as media guard, but the water was sometimes flowing along the underside of the drain, leaking out of the system instead of dripping from the edge into the opening of the pipe below. I hope the lids will solve this issue, but the rock wool might just be a temporary solution as well, but I want to get the system cycle running as quickly as possible. To finish this episode though, the drains are in place and close off the canisters so we can fill them with more clay pebbles as media for the plants to grow in. This is a good opportunity to use some pebbles from the media bed, which was on top of the IBCs previously. This grow bed will end up on the roof, so taking the media out of it will make it lighter and therefore easier to lift onto the bathroom roof. I might add some more media to the canisters once the bed is placed on the roof and there are some leftover clay pebbles after refilling the grow bed. There will be some pipe extensions necessary, redirecting the water flow from the feed-through drains of the canisters back into the fish tank. We will see how this is set up in detail in the upcoming episode when I do the plumbing. This concludes today's mission. subscribe for the next episode and leave some feedback in the comments below. You could also check out this video.
Or if it's your birthday, maybe this one.
Hiedalle.